Hello, I am David, and I am on the Compassion Tour and currently in Carlsbad, California. And today I put a post up for questions about compassion, and I received one from Megan that I will answer to the best of my ability. It is as follows. How is harm called out without shaming, blaming the perpetrator? Curious as to the difference you see, and this back to self as perpetrator too. So as I understand, the question is also reflecting back on if you are the perpetrator or if someone else is the perpetrator. I think if you feel harm from someone else that is the perpetrator, then there's a thing I believe in called nonviolent communication, which you express your need and your feelings towards someone that you feel has caused harm. Because of previous work with restorative justice as well, I think once a safe, compassionate listening space is established and open, honest, sincere communication is put into place, then that's the opportunity to come to a mutual understanding of what feelings are involved, what events took place, how one may have perceived those events, and to move into a place of forgiveness in which one is at peace with the past. I take that as being a very distinct definition of forgiveness. I think compassion and forgiveness are very closely bound together. That's if you feel someone has perpetrated harm against you. And I think the same goes if someone feels as though you have been the cause of harm to another. To be at peace with the past. And if someone comes at you with that pain, thinking that you've done harm to them, or if you've actually feel yourself that you've done harm to another, be compassionate to yourself. Practice self-compassion. First, listen to your own sense of shame and guilt. Establish where that's coming from. Ask yourself, why am I feeling the shame or guilt because of the harm that I've done to another? And how can I be at peace with that? Personally, I would say that to admit that there was a mistake that was made, that's the first step. And to communicate with the person, if they're alive, that I made a mistake. And to try to understand what harm has been done. In the process of forgiveness, I think what happens is many times we say that we're sorry without fully understanding the emotions, circumstances of the other person. And it's shoot off a little bit without mutual understanding. For instance, if someone is waiting for someone and they arrive late and they say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I had to go food shopping and walk the dog and get some coffee." That sorrow comes from that person without necessarily understanding how the other person felt and the circumstances of the other person. I think it's a selfish way of apologizing, of resolving it, looking at what one did rather than how the other felt. I hope that answers that portion of the question. And at a collective level, I think the same thing can be done. I'm a very strong component of restorative justice, and on a collective level in South Africa and Rwanda, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, I believe was what it was called in South Africa after apartheid, where people were able to share their stories. in a safe place with the wrongdoers and the victors or victims involved, and the roles of each one of those were stripped away, in which people could have an open dialogue about those things. And that's what compassion is. It's listening and acknowledging and understanding. If there's an action that needs to be taken, take it. The other thing I also want to include is what I believe, as Byron Katie says, is that there's our business and then there's other people's business. And I think what we need to take care of when it does come to compassion and forgiveness is our own business. How are we dealing with the forgiveness that's needed? And what happens is when we forgive ourselves, if we think that we've perpetrated a harm, that it feeds inner peace. And again, I think I've gone over this in a previous video log, in which inner peace leads to compassion, leads to forgiveness, leads to gratitude, and further continues to fuel the inner peace that's already there in the first place. And anything, any event, any person, place, or thing can enter that loop and feed it if there's initially inner peace. So the harm that's done, whether you're causing the harm or receiving the harm, to continue in one's life to establish the inner peace. And in the end, the relationship with that person, place, or thing will work out, will work itself out in a loving, kind manner. Okay. I think that covers it. How long is it? 7 minutes and 27 seconds. Give me a moment to see if there are any further thoughts. I think that's it. I'll reiterate what I believe compassion to be. It's listening, acknowledging, mutual understanding, and action if needed. Sometimes listening is just the action, sometimes acknowledging is just the action, and sometimes mutual understanding is the action. I would love to hear any other further thoughts on this question. At the moment, this is what I think based on what I believe compassion to be, which is recognizing essence and how I'm feeling in this moment in time. And I would love to hear what other people think. So if there's opportunity, share in the comments if you're watching this, and let us know what you think. It's a great question. If you feel you perpetrated harm, or if someone else feels that they've perpetrated harm towards you. I'm grateful for the question. I'm grateful for this opportunity to share a bit of wisdom if it's useful. And I look forward to answering another question in the future. With that, I will sign off and say, enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. Enjoy, enjoy.